First up, big news in the XFL world. They officially announced, officially, not Mike Mitchell writing about it, but the XFL announces their executive leadership team. This was a press release that came out today. First, the news was broken on ESPN, and then not too long later after that, it came out on the official XFL website and through their PR people. The league welcomes an accomplished group of executives that will bring top-tier experience, drive, and innovation to the XFL. So the XFL and its ownership group, consisting of Dany Garcia, Dwayne Johnson, RedBird Capital Partners, are excited to announce the addition of 9 executive hires as the league prepares for its highly anticipated return to the field in 2023. Joining the league and returning to the league are Russ Brandon. He is now the president, league football operations, essentially the Jeffrey Pollock, Oliver Luck kind of role, perhaps. Ron Gerbe is the chief financial officer. Jordan Schlachter is the chief business officer. He was with the original XFL, Janet Duch. You remember her from the president of the New York Guardians. She is the chief marketing and content officer. Marc Ross is coming in as the executive vice president of football operations, a guy that had worked with the New York Giants. Doug Whaley has returned as senior vice president of player personnel, his similar role. Scott Harniman is the senior vice president of enterprise technology. I believe that he was also with the team. Jay Rothman, a name that Mike Mitchell has talked about, with ties, longtime ties with ESPN. He is the senior vice president of broadcast operations. And Sydney Wagner, she is the senior vice president of people operations. I believe Cindy Wagner was also part of the original XFL team. Quote from Dany Garcia, these exceptional and talented executives encompass a deep skill set that aligns with our commitment to deliver an exceptional football universe experience, as well as our shared passion for bringing the XFL back stronger than before, said Dany Garcia, XFL chairwoman and co-owner. Our team's experiences across a very professional sports leagues and brands will enable us to deliver an experience for our fans, athletes, and partners that represent today's evolution of best in class. A tremendous amount of work has already been done, with more exciting news to come as we prepare for 2023. And then the XFL tweeted out a Russ Brandon tweet there. Dany Garcia also had a tweet out there with her jacket and holding the football. Bios on some of these guys. Well, we have our own Mike Mitchell kind of broke down some of the senior new executive leadership team from the XFL. Of course, one of the interesting things that he says that several hires have been chronicled on XFL News Hub by Mike Mitchell. The most significant hire is the former Buffalo Bills CEO Russ Brandon as league president, as we reported here when former league CEO Jeffrey Pollock departed. Brandon was one of the XFL's top candidates to assume a similar role that Pollock had with the league since 2019. Jay Rothman is also hired, and the XFL officially announced on Monday. XFL News Hub covered this story months ago, and we talked about I don't know if we talked about it here, but I think we did. For many years at ESPN, Rothman has been one of the top broadcasting executives in the industry. Rothman will be the XFL Senior VP of Broadcast Operation. He figures to play a pivotal role in how the league is presented and its broadcasting strategy, which could very likely include a streaming and documentary component, something that Mike Mitchell has talked about as well. And I believe that I would say November 1st was the kickoff I'm sure they have been filming stuff, but certainly now they are definitely filming stuff too for whatever this all-encompassing vision that they have for the XFL. The XFL's new executive team will have a mini reunion from executives who are already worked for the league in 2019 and 2020, and a Buffalo Bills reunion of sorts, where 3 of the execs had spent time upstate New York. Brandon, the new VP of Football Ops, Marc Ross, and the returning Doug Whaley all have ties with the Buffalo Bills. Ross and Whaley will be key figures in putting together all football aspects of the XFL, from the team's coaching staff to players. All the XFL teams will be restocking their rosters, but before that can happen, a whole new scouting process will come into play, along with it potentially new coaches, front office, than the ones that existed in 2020. Doug Whaley's return could lead to more XFL 2020 reunions, both on the coaching and team executive side. So guys like Sam Schwartzstein, who is already getting a push from the Twitter universe, the return to the XFL, though they do have Mark Ross in that position, so we're not really sure about Sam Schwartzstein's return there. We'll see if that happens, but that's basically the gist of some of these folks in there. We have a full breakdown of that press release, including every background of every single person, and we now have a team. Some of the names we knew. We knew Jordan Schlachter. We knew Janet Duch. We knew Doug Whaley was a little, didn't hear his name out there. We have a whole article about the background of who Mark Ross is, the new XFL Vice President of Football Operations. We'll have more content revolving around some of these new players. And you can look up some of these old guys, the old from the XFL 2.0 era. You can see them also on XFL News Club because we have write-up on that. Now, as this story came about, the XFL refreshed its website too. And a couple things that the Twitterverse and well, I noticed too. First, that the XFL shop closed until 2022. That's kind of interesting. So if you go to shop.xfl.com, you'll see this banner that says new XFL shop coming in 2022. So fans are excited, of course, about all the news and the reveal, but the shop, XFL shop, is no longer in business. The words new XFL shop coming in 2022 means that there's no Black Friday sales or old or new merchandise coming in 2021. And speaking of, which is here is the interesting kind of part, and let me break it out here on the podcast. You remember this Black Friday hat, don't you? Remember this one? This could be the final piece of merchandise from the XFL 2.0 era, as they now essentially are going to, this was the last really quote unquote new item that they had there on XFL shop.xfl.com. Now, what's going to happen? Now we can't even buy any merch. So that makes fans wonder. So first of all, holiday merchandise is out. Our own Mike Mitchell has reported in the past that don't be surprised if not all the XFL teams remain the same in 2023, something that he's talked about multiple times. So the XFL, we know, has run into trademark issues with the Houston Roughnecks and Dallas Renegades. We talked about that, along with the MLB's Cleveland Indians, now changing that to the Guardians, and the new NFL's Washington football team, stealing my America's team, DC Defenders, potentially changing their name to the Defenders. So what does this mean when it comes to this merch in 2022? Are we going to get whole new teams and whole new locations? Or are we going to get a fresh coat of paint, sort of, with some new merch potentially coming from the likes of Under Armour? We know The Rock is partnered with all those kind of guys. Is that the kind of merch are they coming? Is there going to be new teams added to this mix? This makes things very intriguing for sure. But they're shutting it down, waiting for 2022, and you know that we will be in line as soon as it opens to grab some new merch. That's for sure. Also, one last thing when it comes to the XFL's new website refresh, they're starting to hire more staff. If you go to the careers page, before the careers page basically said career information coming soon, recruitment has not yet begun. That's what it said. Now it says the XFL is a fan-first, fast-paced professional football league with innovative rules and in-game access. Our team is hard at work building the foundation to provide players a new opportunity to play the game of football and fans a highly entertaining experience when we return to the field in 2023. For the latest job postings and career opportunities, click here, and it essentially links to a LinkedIn page. This is something new from when they did this before. So if you click on the page, it's going to take you to a LinkedIn site. Now, settle down, my friends, all of you out there that are, trying to look for a job and like, oh, I'm going to get a job with the XFL. Slow your roll because there's no job postings as of yet. But they are basically putting this on this is linked to from the XFL site. So clearly this is where they're going to be posting job opportunities for the XFL. So if you are interested in being part of that news, you can just basically, you're going to have to bookmark essentially the page for XFL job postings if you want to work with the XFL. So lots of new information coming out. We're super excited about what this brings. It is only the beginning of November. More and more information will be coming out. We'll just have to stay tuned and find out.